Alright, here's the Kenmore 90 series. I've already removed the front cover and pulled that off. Sorry about the blue light here. It's actually an aquarium reef light that I had to use because my shop lights are pretty yellow. They don't show up very well. I'm going to replace the coupler here. It looks like this. Very easy to install, and show you how to do that right now with just a couple little tools. You'll need a 1/4 inch socket. I put mine in an extension to make it a little bit easier, or a 1/4 inch nut driver. It'll all work the same, but pretty much I got a 1/4 inch socket on a 1/4 inch ratchet, and then I got just a generic size, doesn't really matter, and I'll show you what this is for. We're going to press in the bearing, the coupler rear part with this, and I got a large screwdriver, flathead, pretty easy stuff, and one hammer. That's pretty much should be everything you need. And let's go ahead and start this. I'm going to be using one hand here to hold the camera, so it's not going to be very steady, but it should be pretty detailed. If I can do it with one hand, you can surely do it with two. This is your water pump. This here started leaking a while back, right behind the water pump, right about there in the center, so it kind of rusted out the whole center, the input shaft, and there was water getting everywhere down here on the frame, and that's why it's pretty rusty, as you see now, because of all the water damage. So eventually what happened is it went from a slow leak to a huge leak. I had to replace this water pump. It's about $100 online if you go through a dealer. If you go through Amazon or Craigslist like I did, I think I paid $16 for it. So here we go. I got a plastic clip here on top. That comes right up. Same thing here on the bottom, right there. And these plastic clips, metal clips that hold on, go in this hole like this, and they go in the hole and they spin just like that, and they clip over the water pump. So what's holding on the water pump is just these two clips, one on the top, one on the bottom. Set those aside right there. Water pump, might have to pry it off. Comes right away, just like that. You're left with the input shaft, your motor, and then located behind the motor is going to be your transmission, and that's where the coupler is that I will be replacing today. So now, using my 1/4 inch nut driver, I take off this clip here, and you can see this is a metal clip that goes in that hole and pretty much spins sideways and snaps on the top of the motor, and there's also one on the bottom. So taking out this 1/4 inch sheet metal screw here, and the one on the bottom is located right there. If I can hold this with one hand. So that's off as well too now. Now you got these two clips. We'll start with the top. Hope it doesn't fall too hard. Motor could fall a couple inches, so just be wary of that. And right here is where I'm going to pry it. And there it goes, just went down, and the bottom clip is just kind of hanging right down there because it also came off. There's the bottom clip right there. So pretty easy there. Now all I'm going to do is get this clip out of the way. It's kind of hanging on that wire there. Be careful with that. Get this clip out of the way just by spinning it and removing this clip here. It's like a T-clip that comes out. There's one on the bottom. I'm going to leave the one on the bottom right there because I don't think it's going to interfere too much. If it does, I'll remove it. Now, this motor here pulls away. It's still plugged in. If I move this pump and stuff out of the way, you'll be able to see there's my coupler and there's my broken part. So looking at it, there's the broken coupler part right there. I'm going to pull this out of this hole, and that's what's broken right there. And that round rubber O-ring thing with a little white star in the back of it had one in the front and one in the back, and that's the coupler I'm replacing. And on the back of the motor, there's the other busted chunk of coupler. So now that that's out, now I got to pry that rubber washer out. And once that's out, get at the back part of the coupler. It's a little bit harder to do with one hand. And try to give you a decent camera angle there. Now that's out. And in the back of there is the other half of the coupler. Now, a flathead screwdriver that we used earlier to pry those things out, those little tabs are going to go behind the coupler, behind this metal bar, behind the coupler, and pry on it until that rear part comes out. I'm actually going to go from the left-hand side and underneath. You'll see my screwdriver here. And then from there, start prying on that. Really careful not to break it. You see it coming away there. Spin it a little bit. Now that it's spun, go back behind it again. Do a little more prying. There you go. That just came off the transmission. So, coupler is out. Right here, it sits in its pieces. And now I'm going to replace the coupler. Give me a second, let me try to stabilize this. So, here's the bag. Here's the coupler. And when you order a new coupler, since you're buying a new one anyway, try to get the one with the metal reinforced ring in the center. That's really going to help you out in wear in the long run. Now, this is the new coupler here. And pretty much you got to separate it. And now that that's separated, what I'm going to do is, the way it was before was one ring, doesn't matter which one, was on the transmission, pushed on that bearing shaft. The other ring was on the back of the motor, pushing that way in the back of the motor, with the rubber washer in the center. So let's go ahead and install this ring right here. And just so it's a little easier on me, I'm going to try to set this camera up if I can. Right there. And this is where your generic size socket comes in handy. I just try to make it a socket that'll fit around there so I can pound this on. The teeth go in facing you any direction, one up, two down, whatever. Doesn't matter how you put it in, except for this oblong hole has to match the transmission input shaft. So I can see that it's flat on top and flat on bottom. So I'm going to install it like this with a peg up, because you have a flat here and a flat here. And here goes nothing. Should be pretty darn easy here. And that installed correctly should go like that. I can see that that's going to be a really tight fit, but that's what the socket is for, to push that baby on. So now that's where that's at. I'm going to try to move the whole transmission and motor out of the way, because I need to get a straight shot to it if I can, so I can pound it on properly. There we go, right here. It'd be much easier with a cameraman, but see that I don't have one right now. It's as good as it gets, guys and girls. Make sure it's going on straight, and it sure is. You're gonna pound this shaft on until there's no gap here, until it's flush. The outside ring is flush back with the coupler and the motor, the input shaft, excuse me. Only problem I have right now is because all this junk's in the way, it's kind of hard to get a straight hit and a good camera angle. Much better Much better. Okay, that should give me a really almost straight hit. I'm going to stop this, start again.